Hi friends, Simit here from InformedTrades.com. In this video, I want to talk about W.D. Gann, his methods for identifying major tops and bottoms in markets. Gann was a prolific trader from about 100 years ago in the early part of the 20th century. We'll have a bunch of videos about him to come. In this one, we'll talk about how he looked at major tops and bottoms, which he viewed as some of the best trading opportunities out there. A few key points. Sentiment will be at its extreme at major tops and major bottoms and be contrarian. So, at the top, at a major top, people will be jumping up and down, buying and thinking it's wonderful. At a major bottom, they'll be, selling and they'll think it's, quite terrible. That's when you want to be contrarian based on the mass sentiment. Related to this is that volume will be highest at its extremes because people will be acting on their emotions. Follow the insiders. So, if it's a single stock, look at what management's doing, what early shareholders are doing, people who really know the company well. If it's in the currency market, for instance, what are central banks and maybe many key political figures, what are they doing? Also, look for pro gaps. We have a video on how to trade gaps on Informed Trades. Gaps are basically a technical setup that Gann used to identify major tops and bottoms. We'll talk about them as well in this video. Going through some examples. First example is Facebook. On the screen right now, you have this blue bar indicates the size of the IPO. So we're comparing historical IPOs here. Here's the dollar amount of the amount of cash stock issued, and the green bar represents the number of shares traded. So Facebook is basically the largest IPO ever, the most amount of money raised for the company, the most amount of shares traded. If we also, so we have a really high volume here, which is our first sign. Then if we look at what insiders are doing, we had a bunch of insiders selling anytime on an IPO. If there's a lot of cash being offered, that means shareholders are selling their stock. And if we also look at price appreciation, Facebook's first official investment round, the company was valued at $500,000. By the time it went public, the IPO was valued at $100 billion. So really, there's a huge, it had been on a huge appreciation. Then we see this volume spike, and we see some insider selling. So now, in terms of what happened, price has basically fallen since then. Even now, now we have the benefit of hindsight, but we see that huge volume bar. It hasn't really been reached since. Now we're starting to get a little volume, which some may interpret as a bottom, but definitely. Huge volume spike here. Haven't seen that, and sort of Gann's sort of viewpoint really played out well here in the case of Facebook. Another example to look at is silver. This part right here, this highlighted part, is April of 2011. This part going back here is the last quarter of 2010. During that, about 7-month period, silver really went on a tear, more than doubled. As we're getting to this last part here, we started to see volume rising. So volume's rising. At the same time, we're seeing more emergence of red candles here, really at 5 bars straight up here, 6 bars, excuse me. Then we start to see some red candles. We see volume rising. Also, if you know the silver market, in 1980, there was the previous high in 1980 was just under $50. So we're approaching that previous resistance level, major resistance level. We start to see some red candles. We start to see volume rising. We have a doji here. Those are all clues that this opportunity may be running out. At the same time, the market gaps down. So this is a gap right here where the close is different than the previous candle or next candle's open, right? So there's a gap between this candle's close and the next candle's open. In this case, the market had been going up and the gap is down, meaning the open of the current candle is lower than the close of the previous candle. When you have a gap that runs in the opposite direction of the prevailing trend, that's referred to as a pro gap, and it also is a sign that demand is exhausted. So we have a pro gap, we have approaching resistance, a volume rising after a long appreciation. That's sort of what Gann would look for as a major top. And sure enough, silver really dropped significantly. Could have been a great opportunity to make a lot of money in a short amount of time based on that. That's about it. If you have any questions, anything you want to share, join us at informedtrades.com. Thanks and best of luck in your trading.